I've been waiting way too long. Yeah, I've been down here trying to get it. Yeah, I've been waiting way too long.
In this video, we're going to look at graphing linear inequalities. So an example of a linear inequality is y is greater than or equal to 3x minus 2. So in order to graph this, we're actually going to graph the equation first, the line, y equals 3x minus 2. And so my slope is 3, or 3 over 1, and my y-intercept is negative 2. So I'm going to start at negative 2, and I'm going to go up 3 over 1, and I'm going to keep doing that. I can also go down 3 and to the left 1. That will still create a positive slope. And then I'm going to connect my dots. So there is the line 3x minus 2, y equals 3x minus 2. So now we need to refer back to the original inequality, and it said that y is greater than or equal to 3x minus 2. And so again, there are multiple solutions here, similar to how we graph the one variable on the number line. And I want to just remind you of what an equation like this means, y equals 3x minus 2. Okay, a point on the line is a solution. So when you look at this line, you can see that there are multiple solutions. And it's not even just the solutions of where you see my actual points, it's any point on this line is a solution. And so there's already an infinite number of solutions. But when we look at y is greater than or equal to 3x minus 2, we have even more solution options. And so the easiest way to do this is what's going to happen is we're going to have to shade part of this graph. And the easiest way to know what part to shade is to go to your y-intercept. And from your y-intercept, you're either going to go straight up or straight down. So because this says greater than or equal to, I'm going to go straight up. And so this means that this side is the side where my solutions are. And so I'm going to shade this side. Now you know that a line goes on forever. And so this is just part of the solution set. This line goes on forever, which means this shading goes on forever. So essentially this line splits the coordinate plane in half, and 1/2 of the coordinate plane gets shaded. And so that is where we would shade. Now, I also want to point out that because there was an equal to sign here, greater than or equal to, our line was a normal solid line. In the next problem, you're going to see that our line will not be solid. All right, so we have the inequality 3x minus 2y is greater than 8. Now, in order to graph this, we could do a couple things. We could find the x and y intercept, or we could write it in slope-intercept form. And so for the sake of practice, we're going to solve it for y equals. We're going to get the y by itself so we can get it in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to subtract the 3x on both sides. That leaves me with negative 2y is greater than 8 minus 3x, and then I'm going to divide by a negative 2. Now, if you remember, when we multiply or divide by a negative, our inequality symbol flips. So now this becomes a less than. 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. And negative 3 divided by negative 2 is a positive 3 over 2x. So my slope is 3 over 2, and my y-intercept is negative 4. And notice that the symbol is less than. Y is less than. So because it's less than, we are going to use a dotted line. Why? Because the points on the line are not solutions. So we are going to graph the line y equals negative 4 plus 3 over 2x. But again, that line has to be dotted. So we need to be careful of that. So I'm going to plot my y-intercept, and I'm going to go up 3 over 2, up 3 over 2. I could also go down 3 into the left 2, 3 over 2. And again, it needs to be a dotted line or a dashed line. So I'm going to just do my best to kind of make it some dashes here. So there is our boundary line. That is called the boundary line. Okay, and so we have the boundary line graphed, and now we need to figure out which side to shade. And so it says y is less than. So remember my trick. I'm going to go to my y-intercept, and I'm going to go straight down because it says less than. And so this is the side that I'm going to shade. And that represents the solutions, which we'll talk more about in the next video. So here's kind of your key that you want to think about when you're graphing linear inequalities. The greater than and the less than symbol are going to form a dotted line for the boundary line. The greater than or equal to and the less than or equal to will be a solid line. And then the greater than and the greater than or equal to will shade above, and then the less than and the less than or equal to will shade below. So somehow you need to have that in your notes where it makes sense to you. That may not make a whole lot of sense the way I did it, but that is how you graph linear inequalities. Very similar to graphing a line, a regular line. But again, we kind of have these additions here that we need to think about when we're graphing it.
I've been waiting way too long.